As social work students and as social workers, we all have to be mindful of the one of the key concepts of social work practice, which is that of the strengths perspective. So today we're going to do another overview related to strengths perspective to hopefully help you integrate that just a little bit better. I also think it's important when we talk about the strengths perspective that we talk about some of the criticisms related to the strengths perspective and also the way that sometimes in practice the perspective can be misinterpreted. And really that is mostly related to this idea that if you're focusing on somebody's strengths, then how do you at the same time be maybe critical, or how do you do an evaluation related to what the challenges that are going on in people's lives. So it's really important as we talk about strengths to talk about that duality and some of the challenges that practitioners sometimes face when integrating this concept of the strengths perspective into their practice. So let's just look at it in a generalized idea. The strengths perspective offers a focused, committed effort for identifying, expanding, and sustaining the resilience and assets that client systems bring to their interface with the world. The strengths-based approach views supporting the client as central to the worker's action. So it's really this idea that you are banking on not only the strengths of an individual, but the family and community and this larger perspective, while at the same time keeping the client at the center of your action as a social worker. Strengths-based perspective and intervention can be distilled down into two major principles. And as they apply to intervention, and that is that the social worker acts in a context. And so it's kind of that, again, that no one size fits all model. And I think one of the great strengths, so to speak, of the strengths perspective is that it lends itself to being very creative. And that the social worker works with client systems to move towards normalizing and capitalizing on that person's strengths. And as I think it's important to note here that as an instructor, that's why I put so much emphasis on critical thought and on creative approaches to whatever maybe assignment that you're going to be doing, and even within our discussions, because really it's in enhancing that creativity within you and your ability to think outside of the box, your ability to work within the confines of challenging systems while at the same time focusing on strengths and focusing on creative ways of approaching problems or challenges is the degree to which you can be most effective. Let's look at some of the central ideas behind the strengths perspective. Is that many people are able to function relatively well in spite of the difficulties they face and the resources they can't or don't access. That people are resilient and possess skills, ideas, and determination that needs to be considered when developing interventions. And that change happens when social workers collaborate with clients' aspirations, perceptions, and strengths. So it's, again, that really coming down to using the client or client system as the focus for how decisions are made and how interventions take place. Focus of the strengths-based intervention is that clients are experts in their situations and the solutions to their problems, so that even when clients are struggling with challenges, that they remain the experts. They know, when was this not an issue? When is it less of an issue? What things take place to make it better? All of those things. So really relying on the client as the main source of solutions. And really, as a social worker, you're just a facilitator at accessing that. And that interventions should really begin where the clients are. And so again, that's why we talk so much about relationship formation and when we look at ways of intervening with people, that's central to all of that. It's central to being able to meet clients where they are and really being able to listen to where to a client's perspective, central to that is really being able to connect with and building a relationship with that person. Utilizing clients' assess strengths in the intervention, and recognizing and working with individuals and environmentals that might hinder interventions. Again, that's where that creativity really comes into place. And many of you who are actually working in the field now can probably relate to that. To get focus of strengths-based intervention, social workers can assess several different areas that help to guide interventions. They can assess environmental resources and strengths, both naturally and non-naturally occurring resources. They also, part of the strengths process, part of that assessment, and I think that it can sometimes be a misunderstanding or a trap of newer social workers who are trying to apply this concept, is that part of the strengths-based approach is also assessing for environmental deficits or obstacles. It's also, though, looking at personal resources and strengths, and again, assessing the personal deficits or obstacles, because you can't really enhance one without understanding the other. So here's just kind of an example of what that might look like. So in terms of the assessment piece, so you look at this example. Wow, this person has strong family ties and relationships. So that's an incredible strength. And as you plan an intervention with the person or family system that you're working with, you would be able to enlist the help of those people, those close relationships and family ties. Part of your assessment would be to assess the community resources. So an example might be that you identify these resources and then you allow the client to tell you which of those resources sound like they might be the best fit for them or might be helpful in this given situation. So that might be the client agrees to enroll in a job training workshop at a local community college or community center. Another is assessing community and ties and networks. And so an intervention, an example of that might be that a client agrees to call friends, previous coworkers, maybe people they know in the faith community to ask about job leads. So again, it's that integration of examining strengths, really using the person that you're intervening with as the central focus and letting them lead the way in terms of intervention and in terms of identifying what is working and what is not working. I hope that you all have a really good week. We're in the home stretch for this class. Overall, I've been really impressed with your papers and your approach to your paper. I hope that I know the pace of this class has been really fast, but I hope that you're learning things and feel like your learning is meaningful. And I especially hope that your paper topic is engaging you and is strengthening your knowledge. I am going to be traveling on Wednesday and will be out of cell phone range Wednesday and Thursday and part of Friday. So I apologize for that if you try to get a hold of me, but I will return all messages and emails on Friday when I'm back in cell phone range.